Welcome, everybody. A little right about now happening right about now. And today, guess what? We got a very special guest sitting down with me. We got Zach Arns joining me from ESPN Arkansas. Hey, Zach, what's up?
I appreciate you having me, risking your career yet again to have me on with you.
It's funny. Every once in a while, I get this wild hair, and I'm like, you know who could come on? Is Zach.
We need to stir some things up. This is I didn't realize I was sitting in for Marcy today.
Yeah.
I've known Marcy a long time. I've got some Marcy stories that we can talk about. I have beef with Marcy.
Yes.
But I love Marcy
Finally,
to death.
somebody has beef with
No,
Marcy.
I have a real beef with Marcy.
Oh, good.
We used to work together.
Yes.
And, Marcy's got some office habits that I'm not real thrilled with.
Oh, you know what? She hasn't displayed any of those here yet.
Give her some time.
Give her some time. That's all we need.
I don't know if you know this or not, but she's not bashful.
Oh, no, she's not bashful. It's true. Zach, so you're with ESPN Arkansas, obviously. What do? You got the Ruskin and Zach show.
Yeah, it's the only statewide show in the afternoon. I mean, we're corner to corner. You can get us on the interwebs at hitthatline.com. We're everywhere, and it's what we do is probably a little bit different than what everybody else does.
In what way?
Well, we're kind of on the fringes of sports. We talk about sports. We'll give you what you need to know, but we go off in other directions. We like pop culture. We'll talk about, news events of the day. We like to, we'll get off and get into our personal lives. We share an awful lot, sometimes more than we probably should. But it's a lifestyle show.
Yeah.
And it's, when Derek and I sat down and we started to kind of concept what we were going to do, think about two guys sitting on a bar stool at, in an empty bar just talking.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is. And we've brought, folks in with us. We've got a great guy with us now that I've known forever. We call him Denver Bill. And Bill, I've known Bill 35 years. And Bill just seamlessly fit in with us. And it's now three guys sitting on a bar stool just talking about whatever. We make people mad sometimes, but we have I've never had more fun in a job than I am right now.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, I started when I was in college, way back in the early 90s. So I've been at this for over 35 years.
Wow.
And it's crazy to think about that I've made a career out of this because it doesn't feel, it feels like yesterday I started and I worked in corporate America for a little while, couldn't do it. Just wasn't for me. And, you sitting in your coop going, I can't do this. I'm constantly moving, and this job suits me perfectly.
Yeah.
As much hell as we give our boss, Tommy Kraft, it is the best job I've ever had. I've never laughed more. I've never had more fun. I've never appreciated the people that I work with more than
I don't think you can
now.
tell. You might. This is the tip of the top for you. I don't know if you go any higher.
Derek, it's
or
funny.
lower,
Like Derek and I have had opportunities to go and do something else, and we've always said the same thing, which is this is home for me. I've been here since I came to school in '91. I went to the University of Arkansas. I've been here a long time. Derek grew up in Searcy. He's back here now, and it's home. It's where roots are. My daughter goes to school here. I never want to leave this area. My friends back east. I'm from the East Coast. My friends are like, oh, when are you coming back home? Never.
Yeah.
Like this isn't that's not where I want to be. Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas in particular, is home for me.
Hey, we'd love to hear that. Speaking of your daughter, what's going on this summer? How have you guys been spending your time?
This is the downtime in sports radio. There's once Arkansas baseball ends, there's not a lot going on.
What an ending that was.
Oh boy. You want to talk about
Oh boy.
That was one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had because the way I would describe it is like you're in a hole and there's just sand pouring in. Once Robinette missed the ball, and it wasn't his ball. I mean, if you go back and you look at it, second baseman's standing there ready to make the play. It's an easy 4-3. And once that happened, you went, oh no.
Yeah.
And then you get play after play.
It was
a
house of cards, right? It all just crumbled.
But to answer your question, once sports kind of slows down and we really get off the beaten path with our show. But I've spent my summer chasing my daughter from basketball gym to basketball gym. It's basically and it's great. It's something that I absolutely love.
Is she in high school yet, or is she still junior high?
She's in junior high. She's in Springdale, and she'll be a ninth grader this year. And looking forward to it. She's had a great summer. I keep telling her she's had a hot girl summer as far as basketball goes. So it's been fun, and you just get to sit back and be a dad. And I always and I'm not one of those little league parents. I just sit in the corner, all balled up, going. Oh,
I was going to ask. So that's my question. I want to go into that a little bit, dive into it, because my kids both played sports. My daughter played sports all the way through. She played 10th grade at Harbor High School, and then she dropped it, and she's graduating this year. And I was really proud of her because she told me basically without saying return on investment. She said the return on investment isn't there. There's so many other things I could be doing with my time and that I want to do. So I was like, cool, sounds like you've made a mature decision. Let's drop it. But when they were really young, I was that person who was there, and I wasn't giving everybody the what for, but I was definitely like, just feeling it internally when the kids are playing sports, and there were parents who were more into it than I was, who were yelling at the umpire or the referee or whatever the sport was. They had something to say about it. But
we see a lot of it.
I bet you do. I finally like to think that I evolved or transcended past that, and I could just go to the game. Of course, I'm cheering for my kids and their team, but I'm also like, all of these kids, it's impressive. You're playing sports, so I don't have to be mad at you for what you're doing. Anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah, and you see it. The more competitive it gets. She's played AAU this summer, and it's the first summer we've done this, kind of full time, and it's it's been a grind at times, but it's so fulfilling, and she's grown so much. I mean, she literally and figuratively. She's I think at the start of the summer she was like 5'5". She's 5'9.5" now.
Wow.
And she's.
Do you think she'll surpass you in height?
I'm telling you, man, if that happens, I don't know what I'm going to do. She stands up, and and it's one of those things where you go, oh gosh, you're bigger today than you were yesterday, and she's gaining weight now.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of leveled off a little bit. This growth spurt's over, but it's so fulfilling just to watch her play. And I tell her all the time, as long as we're having fun, and as long as you're having fun, and you want to do this, you talk about ROI. As long as you're getting something out of it, absolutely, I'll do whatever I have to do to make this happen for you. If you come to me tomorrow and say, Dad, I want to go do something else. Okay, fine. I'm gonna be there to cheer you on.
Yeah.
But the competitive aspect of it, I feel it. It's funny. She made her first start back in December of last year. I was a ball of nerves. It was up in Rogers, and I text a friend of mine. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, she's come off the bench. She's played a little bit. She's come off the bench. I don't know how to handle this. And now when she rolls out on the floor, it's just okay. It's another game, and you get used to it. But I cheer for our kids.
Yeah.
I never say anything about the other team.
The other kids, right?
Yeah,
don't put anybody down.
And if they hit a good shot, I'll turn to the parents.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Kudos
sorry
to
it went
you.
in,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's a great shot. But it's I feel like I'm growing kind of with her as well.
Yeah.
Through the process, but it's so much fun just to watch not just her but the other kids that you grow up playing with, watching them succeed and watching their success.
Because you get to know them so well,
You do. You know their parents, their families. You see them every weekend. And it's going to be weird when, like, this weekend's her last AAU tournament.
Yeah.
When we break up, and we won't get back together until February or March.
Right.
And it's going to be weird to see these girls during the season at other schools. Okay, there's Harlan. There's
you might have to play against them
there's
at some point too.
And you just see these girls, and you're just like, oh my gosh, these are I spent an entire summer with you. Now you're the enemy, but
right.
Stuff like that. But it's fantastic. And it's fun.
I remember that feeling too. Last season, Felix, my son, 8th grade, he's 9th grade this year, but he's playing, and I remember the moment where he wasn't getting a lot of game time. Quickly, he became the 6th man, so he's coming off the bench, and then there was that moment when it was like, oh my gosh, he's starting. So he became one of the starting 5. But I was proud that he worked his way into that position because there are kids who are super talented. He is a workhorse. He's the guy that you want in there setting the screens and taking the charges and all that kind of stuff. So I was proud of him for kind of excelling in that role.
And schools today in high school athletics and even junior high, which we're going through now, it's so different than it was when we were in school.
100%.
With school choice and being able to pack up and go from school to school to school, you can go to 4 high schools in 4 years if you wanted to. She and I have had that conversation. Hey, we're one school for 4 years. We're not bouncing around. We're not doing that sort of thing. But you start to at the AAU level, you start to hear these things like, well, she's going to go here for a year and then we're going to transfer here, and it's a totally different world. My mom was out here 2 weeks ago and went to a couple of her games, and my mom was just. I mean, you're talking about a gym with 1,000 people in it. Your kid is out there playing. People are yelling at her.
It's nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And we never went through those things.
No,
AAU basketball when I was in high school was played on a blacktop outside of a school outside.
Yes. Yeah, and it was only sort of whispers of it too. I feel like, I know a guy who plays AAU. Like it wasn't. Now I feel like it's more prevalent maybe than it was. And
it's
maybe it has to
something.
do with the area that we live too. But Okay, so you just mentioned something, and it's the school choice thing and how you can go from school to school to school. I want to put a pin in that and come back to it after this quick break because I want to talk about how that translates to college athletics as well. 'Cause there's a lot
the old
going
transfer
on with that.
portal.
That's right. So we're going to, you said your show, you said Ruskin is kind of it's a lifestyle show cloaked in a sports show. Right. I think that's what we have going on today on this show as well. We're going to be getting into some hot topics, talking box office, talking the sad passing of Ozzy Osbourne, but how we're all remembering him. But when we come back, we're going to talk more sports. Zach's going to be here. We hope you will too. Join us after this quick break.
3, 4.
All right, everybody, welcome back in right about now. Speaking about right about now, we said we were going to talk sports when we came back, and we are going to talk sports. I think big news dropped yesterday in the world of sports, and that was the untimely passing of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Superstar.
Yeah, that's, I mean, for folks our age, that grew up in the 80s,
yeah,
he was top Mount Rushmore of sports icons.
100%.
I grew up in the Northeast when the WWF kind of took off. And went to many a match where Hulk Hogan was there, including WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
And to hear that passing, that one hits home. I
had his
Hulk Hogan,
little
Terry Bollea.
Yes. Do you remember
away.
the action figures they had?
Mm-hmm.
I had they were like rubber. I can remember how they felt having them because I had G.I. Joes that were like this, and they were hard plastic, and they had that soft rubbery feel to all of those. I'd say original. I'm sure they wrestled before that, but Junkyard Dog and, obviously Hulk Hogan, all of those guys.
They were the first group, the WWF, that understood sports and marketing together because there was this explosion in the early 80s. And, Vince McMahon was at the front of this. You can say what you want about him now, but he was on the forefront of this. He had a guy, the Iron Sheik.
Yes, the Iron
US
Sheik.
has tensions with Iran. Here comes the great American hero, Hulk Hogan, away we go.
I had the Iron Sheik also. Mm-hmm. He had those pointy shoes.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, the WWF influenced the way sports is marketed today because they were the first group to kind of do. I mean, he did a movie. He had action figures. They had video games. They were on the forefront of all of that. And to lose he's a sports icon. He's one of the most recognizable athletes
100%.
Of the last 50 years, without question.
Yes, even when he went it because he was red and yellow, and then he did that other phase of his wrestling when he kind of came back out of retirement, or I don't remember if he was still there, but he was kind of darker colored, black and white, I think was his thing. And but pardon me, like you were saying, understanding marketing, is a big part of it. And just wow.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking. My dad and I went to WrestleMania 1, and we were sitting kind of corner is a Madison Square Garden, and I can still envision his entrance in the main event. I mean, they play Eye of the Tiger. The place goes crazy, and
yes,
it was a thing. I mean, Hulkamania was a real thing.
Hulkamania was a thing. It was catching, and people loved it and loved him. And I know I think he was here in Fayetteville.
Yeah, it's last year.
Yeah.
He was here for the Texas game.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones that kind of mark the passage of time.
Yeah,
you can say, okay, well, that was when Hulk Hogan passed away. That was a big deal. 71 years old.
They say bad luck, I guess, comes in threes, and this week we also had Ozzy Osbourne pass. We'll talk about that in a little bit, and Malcolm Jamal Warner from TV fame also passing.
Yeah, what a crazy week. Malcolm Jamal Warner. When I heard the news, you immediately think of Theo Huxtable.
Absolutely,
and the first thing that came back was the scene where he's in there with his dad, and they're talking about not going to college.
Yeah,
and Bill Cosby says that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
and I've used that with my daughter. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But again, part of my childhood, and then you throw in Ozzy Osbourne, and I mean, just what a week! What a roller coaster of a week. Ozzy, I loved Black Sabbath. I loved his
Yes.
solo work. That's a guy that I have on my phone now. When you get into one of those moods, Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley, crank those up and let's go.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that for a second with Ozzy's passing, because you had a hot take on Crazy Train.
I love the song Crazy Train.
Yeah.
One of my favorite baseball players, Chipper Jones, that was his walk-up music. But if you think that Crazy Train is his best work, you don't know Ozzy Osbourne. Mr. Crowley is a very unique, very creative. It's about a serial killer. It's a very unique. If you listen to it, it's what I think it's his best work. I know that Mama, I'm Coming Home. A lot of people will talk about that one. I'm not a big power ballad guy.
Yeah.
Whitesnake kind of ruined that for me. Actually, my prom as a sophomore ruined that for me. But I don't do the power ballad, but Mr. Crowley,
But you went to prom as a sophomore.
I did.
I got to hear that one more time.
Yeah, that
for the people in the back.
Yeah,
Zach went to prom.
I went to prom
as a
three
sophomore.
times. Went to prom
Nice.
3 times.
I went as a sophomore also, but I didn't go as a junior, so I only went twice.
I went to 5 proms.
My goodness.
Yeah, looking
Quite
back
the
on
ladies'
it,
man.
Well, no, no. Just happened to be right place,
Right place, right time. Yeah.
But yeah, looking back on it now, the parent of a daughter, prom's not something I even want to discuss.
Yeah.
Not
We're not going to go there
Not
yet.
cool, not at all. My daughter went on her first date this week, so yeah, I've still got the battle scars from that one.
I bet.
Yeah, not fun.
Does the person she went with also have battle scars?
He's a great kid, but I'll never admit that.
Yeah.
Great kid.
Great kid.
Will not say it to her or anyone else.
Okay.
He is now my mortal enemy.
Yes, has to be. I think that comes with the territory, right? Okay, so Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne, or Ozzy Osbourne solo?
I mean, everybody knows Iron. I am Iron. I prefer his solo work. I think his solo work, out distances
transcends.
The Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath was a little heavy for me.
Yeah.
But I would say I'd like Crazy Train, Mama, I'm Coming Home. You can go on and on and on, but his peak work, even if you throw in the Black Sabbath stuff, is Mr. Crowley. And it's a song that I've played yesterday.
Wow. Well, like we said, sad to see sort of all of that, and remember thoughts and prayers to their families, and just kind of remembering them in this time. But they left us with such a legacy. Yeah. Hulk Hogan, Malcolm Jamal Warner, as you mentioned, always think of Theo Huxtable. He was actually in one of my, I don't know if you've ever seen this show called The Detroiters. Have you ever watched that show? So, okay, long story. Tim Robinson, one of my favorite comedians, has a show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave. Well, before he did that show, he did a show with one of his buddies from Second City in Chicago that was called Detroiters. The 2 guys were from Detroit. And the premise of the show is that these guys run like an ad agency where they do local commercials. They're as bad as you think they are, and that's the whole joke of the show. But Malcolm Jamal Warner comes in for a guest appearance on an episode because he wants a commercial done by himself, and they keep talking about how cool he is. He's the coolest guy they know because he rode a motorcycle. So then these 2, jabronis go out and buy a motorcycle, and by the end of the episode, of course, they end up hating it. But anyway, hilarious, and I think of that episode when I think of him. You know
what's funny about him and his career was he had the Cosby Show, but if you look him up, he's been producing steadily since that time. His production probably outclasses
I think
the
does.
Cosby Show.
I think he's got more volume of work as a producer than he did as an actor.
Yeah, it's an incredibly steady and successful career. Something that when we didn't see Malcolm Jamal Warner for like 20 years, and you're like, what's he been doing? Well, he's been behind the camera, producing and creating.
Yeah,
and that's that's a testament to a guy that's kind of like on multi levels, can do a lot of different things.
Okay, we're gonna transition now. Multi levels, doing a lot of different things. The athletes today.
Yeah.
They can do one thing, maybe more than one thing, but we know them for one thing specifically, right? And sometimes they pick up and they take that skill to another college or university for whatever their reasons are. And I think a lot of us have sort of gotten lost in the landscape of what does this even really mean? What does the future hold? Where are the boundaries of the current era of college athletes?
Wow. I think I think everybody acknowledges that the system currently is not sustainable. I think everybody sort of acknowledges that. How are you going to put your arms around it? You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You've paid the kids.
That's it.
So you're going to at some point collectively bargain something. Everybody's going to come to an agreement, and we're going to have some sort of cap on the spending at some point. For now, and being the parent of an athlete, you get a very different perspective than being a fan, where a fan will look at a player that packs up and goes somewhere else. Oh, he's a traitor and this and that. Sometimes you don't know all the circumstances behind the scenes. There are circumstances. Sometimes a coach will say, look, your best chance to play is not going to be here.
Yes.
And they may say, look, we'll help you find a place, but if you want to play, it's not going to be here. And of course, the coaches can't talk about that sort of stuff. The athletes, you only hear about the bad ones.
Yeah.
You never hear about Coach X gave me an opportunity or got me over here to this place. And, I think it's slowing down where it was. I think everybody was jumping first before they knew where they were going.
It was, for lack of a better term, it was the Wild West.
Sure.
Everybody was just doing whatever they thought was best for
Rich
them.
Rodriguez got up at media days in the Big 12, and he said that, they asked him, what was the state of college football? And he goes, it's a cluster.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of internal fighting among the 133 Division I schools, roster poaching. That's something I think that the coaches want to kind of nip in the bud.
Yeah.
The old system.
So what is that defined as? Is that when a coach reaches out to another school and says, "Hey, we'll pay your athlete more money"? I'll give
you an example, and I know this to be factual because one of the coaches who was, was coaching the player told me that this happened.
Yeah.
Rocket Sanders.
Yeah.
Former Arkansas running back, went to South Carolina. His sophomore year, there were schools in the SEC reaching out to him.
This was a big year for him, from what I remember, right?
He was injured. He wasn't playing. He was struggling with some leg injuries.
That's right.
And there were schools that were reaching out to him in the league saying, look, come now.
Yeah.
You're going to be out for another 6 weeks. You might as well get a jump start on this thing. And that sort of stuff goes on more than I think we realize.
Okay.
My thing with it is look at the top schools.
Right.
Look at the Ohio States, the Penn States, the Notre Dames. How are they doing it when their roster retention, and that's the word you're going to hear a lot over the next 18 months, is roster retention. You can't be successful if you're turning over 40% of your roster. Arkansas's turning over 40 guys a year. Ohio State's turnover 15.
Wow.
10. Notre Dame, I think, lost 7 to the transfer portal. So if you're able to keep your athletes and keep them happy and everybody's making money, there isn't, you can dispel the rumor that it's greener, the grass is greener on the other side. On the other side, I think you'll be better off. Roster retention is going to be huge.
Is that down to, you think, the head coach and the coach's vision for that athlete?
Sometimes. I think circumstance also dictates it. If you're a quarterback, you can only play one.
Right.
And if you're, a quarterback who's now a sophomore going into your junior year and you're third on the depth chart, you're probably not going to get a lot of time.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just pull that trigger too early. As a freshman, I didn't play any minutes. Well, yeah, because you're a freshman. And sometimes, you have to have an adult in the room say that, it might not be time for you to jump. This is our plan for you. I was listening to some stuff out of the Sun Belt press conferences. They had their media days, and Dow Loggins is a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And I was listening to him talk, and he and I have had this conversation before, but he said, look, you've now got you've got $20 million that you can disperse among your football team and other programs. Or do you spend it on the veteran guys, or do you spend it on the young guys in the development? You have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Because the older guys are looking for playing time because their careers are starting, their clock is ticking. The younger guys, you've got to retain them and develop them and make sure that they stick on your roster for at least a couple of years. That gives you a chance to win games.
You mentioned Dow Loggins, and just before we go to break here, get some thoughts on this. I read last night, so Dow Loggins recruited Luke Hasz.
Yep.
And I just read where he has injured himself again.
Yeah, Luke's had he's had a very difficult career here and now at Ole Miss. He's been very injury prone. He's a talented guy when he's healthy.
Clearly,
he just hasn't been healthy since his freshman, the first 4 games of his freshman year. And Dowell did recruit him. Dowell knows him very, very well. Knows both Hasz brothers. He's a guy that, man, if he's healthy, he can do whatever you need him to do. It's just bad luck.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to look at it and say, you know what, we're going to have to protect this guy. And, he can't play as many snaps. We've just got to keep him healthy. And it's the leg injury that's probably going to slow him down. I'm probably not going to see him for, a couple of months. Arkansas plays Ole Miss week 3.
Yeah.
You hope that he can come back to Fayetteville, if you're an Ole Miss fan. But boy, I mean, you hate to see it, a couple of weeks.
I just hate to see it for young athletes, I think. And like you mentioned, some are just accident prone. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's strength training or if it's just simply bad luck or But take an approach like you're saying, we got to get around this guy and protect him, I think is probably the way forward.
Yeah, it's a shame because he is really a talented pass catcher and a difference maker.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has a bunch of them, and they were kind of counting on him to be one of those guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, you mentioned Arkansas is taking on Ole Miss week 3. Let's when we come back from this break, let's talk about Arkansas's schedule and maybe the rest of the SEC.
One of the most difficult schedules in the nation.
I know, every year in and year out, but here we are again. So we'll have that and more for you when we come back with Right About Now. Yeah, everybody, welcome back. A little bit right about now with Zach Arns joining us from ESPN Arkansas. Zach, before the break, we were talking, we got into it. We cracked it open. We're talking college football. Wow. Razorbacks.
It's here. And, camps are opening, across the country. We're less than a month away from first games. I looked at the schedule. I didn't realize this. Like, Arkansas plays August 30th. They start like 4 days prior to that. They're starting, as early as like that Tuesday. There's a game in Ireland.
Yeah, that's right.
And
they do that now.
2 teams now that you would not put in Ireland.
I think they did it initially, and wasn't it Notre Dame going there for several years?
Yeah, Notre Dame went there in the mid '90s. I actually went to one of them.
Did you?
Yeah, I went to the '93 game out at Croke Park in Dublin, which is akin to a 1A high school stadium.
Yeah.
It's this massive facility. But yeah, Notre Dame went over there to try to, you put the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame in Ireland. It works. But I've been there a couple of times for games. I was there in 2012 when they went over there. But it's a unique experience. And now the Irish fans, they love football.
Okay.
They will sell out anything. And they're going to play at that Aviva Stadium in
Who's going this year? Do you remember?
I'm drawing a blank on this. It's like Kansas State, I think, is going.
I'm gonna look it up.
It is. I forget who's going over there, but there are 2 teams you would not put in Ireland. I know, like Nebraska and Northwestern went over there a couple of years ago, sold the thing out. They love American football, and they make where the stadium is. That Aviva Stadium is downtown, and there's bars and pubs and restaurants all around it, and they make it kind of a weekend out of it. And it's, they've got Gaelic football going on. They've got soccer going on. They've got this massive festival.
It's like a festival.
And, yeah, exactly. And then they, the football game is the last thing that the last part of that.
Well, it is going to be Iowa State, Kansas State.
That's right. Yeah, it's a Big 12 game. I knew it was Kansas State. Iowa State and Kansas State have no ties to Ireland whatsoever.
Nope.
But it should be a pretty good game. Those are 2 good teams.
After playing there for decades, Ireland loves football.
They do. It's why the NFL goes to England.
Yeah.
They're putting more and more games over there. So it's
they put more and more games there, and they're also spreading their wing. They're going to Mexico, and they've gone to Germany. I think so.
Yeah, in the in the United Kingdom, the Premier League doesn't kick off until late August. So you've got like a little window there where you can get these events off, and people will
not compete with other stadium usage.
Yeah, it's and boy, they've got a lot of stadiums in London that they'll bounce around to. I know they play the football games over at Tottenham Stadium, which is on the east side of town. But it's they love it over there. And a couple times I've been there, you just walk into a pub if you're wearing whatever team color you're wearing. I mean, they'll cheer you. You sit down, you have a good time, and then you head for the stadium.
So I've never, I don't know if you know, I lived in England for 4 years.
Whereabouts?
Yeah. I lived in a place called Hereford, which is on the border of England and Wales. So it's western. We went to London all the time. But the thing is, whenever there's a sporting event, you got to wear the colors of your team. It's not like you can be a fan and not have a scarf or a shirt or a hat or something that says what you're representing. I mean, and their soccer matches the fans can get kind of wild.
So you're a Swansea guy, are you?
Yeah. Hey, Swansea was there. I cheered for all the teams. I think I never really fell in line with like this is my team. I got to support these people.
I went to a Premier League match about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Saw Tottenham and Chelsea.
I'm
a Tottenham guy. I'm a Tottenham guy.
Okay.
And it's the closest thing you're going to get to college football anywhere else.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
a really big college football game. They're nuts. They're absolutely nuts about their sports.
And they're super fun. And I went to what I saw more, particularly in Wales, is rugby. I watched a lot of rugby. The Welsh national team used to be really good, and so Cardiff Stadium was really cool.
One of our listeners is from Australia.
Okay.
He's from Adelaide, and he's gotten me into Australian football,
Yeah.
and now I'm into cricket.
Okay.
And I understand it. I understand how it works. Once you understand how it all works, it's a pretty cool game. So,
you know what's wild is I understand the game, but if you think baseball is long,
yes,
like cricket matches last
very long,
not even a day, like a weekend or a week.
And they have like around the grounds. It's a festival, and you go, you eat. You go to the restaurant, you come back, you watch a couple of rounds, and then you come back in, you eat, you drink, you go back out, and it's a whole day.
Yeah. And those athletes, man,
yeah.
Impressive. Speaking of athletes, all right, let's get into SEC matchups. So I think at Media Days, everybody chose this year Texas to be the top dog in the SEC, which is wild because they just became members of the SEC. So I think it's much to the chagrin of the old SEC guard who's been around for a while, seeing these newbies come in. And we love to see Oklahoma down there, like middle of the pack toward the bottom.
There's nothing wrong with seeing Sooners down towards the bottom.
Right.
But if you follow kind of the narratives, and the SEC propaganda arm, we'll just say,
yes,
they are very big on pushing narratives. This year's narrative is, the schedule is so grueling because
for everyone.
Yeah, and they struggled last year in the college football playoff. Texas was the last team standing. The narrative last year among the media members was that Texas wasn't physically ready to step in and play in the SEC. People kind of underestimated Steve Sarkisian. He's one of the best coaches in the country.
He's a mastermind.
You put the Texas brand and the Texas money behind this, you should have a football team that's pretty good. The rest of the league is, and we make this joke on our show, but once every league was able to pay people, it got leveled out. And if you look at the timeline, I mean, right around the time everybody could pay people, well, the SEC's lost 2 in a row. They haven't made them won a title in 2 years. I don't see Georgia or Alabama being at the level that an Ohio State is.
What about Texas? Do you think they're maybe there this year? Because what you just mentioned, Alabama, Georgia, they're like 2 and 3, right? They're after SEC Media Days. The pundits said Texas, and then the rest.
With Texas, you got to show me. I've been told too many times you're back.
Yes.
And that you're one of the top teams and you're ready to compete at the highest level. You got to show me. Last year they pushed Ohio State, but they struggled with Arizona State.
Right.
That shouldn't have happened.
Right.
They're significantly better than Arizona State was, and they honestly could have lost that game. That game went to overtime. So you've got to show me. You've got to show me that you're ready to compete with the biggest and best teams in the country. Do I think they have the talent? Absolutely. Did they have the coach? Without question. But you got to do it.
Yeah.
If we have this conversation with Arkansas baseball. Okay, you get to Omaha, but you got to do it before I'm going to go. Yeah, yes, you're the favorite.
Yeah, I know it's
a tough.
Bringing
sell.
up that old wound.
Yeah, boy, Dave takes a lot of flack, and he shouldn't.
Right.
But with Texas, you got to show me. If you're gonna chirp a lot in the offseason about how great you are, you're gonna thump your chest and tell me how good you are. You gotta deliver at some point. They'll be in it. I mean, they'll definitely be in the college football playoff. I think they're the best team in the league. I don't know about Georgia. I don't know about Alabama. If you want a sneaky good team that I think is going to be better than people think, it's Florida.
Yeah,
DJ Lagway, and I love Billy Napier. I know he has taken on water for every game he's ever coached there.
My wife will love that you said that. She's a Florida grad, so
DJ Lagway is good when he's healthy. You got to keep him upright, and I trust Billy Napier.
Yeah.
Arkansas fans, you want a guy that you want to go after. Billy Napier is a fantastic football coach.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. I am, for the first time, going to Gainesville this year for their game.
Oh, boy.
And Jill, my wife, was like, well, where we're going to get tickets, and all our friends are coming, whatever. We're all going to the game. But she was like, I can guarantee you there's one game where you will not like the opponent and cheer for Florida, and it's the Texas game. So we're going to see in Gainesville Gators versus Longhorns.
That'll be a quiet affair at that. The Swamp is great. I've been to the Swamp twice, and it's I was there for a Florida State game.
Oh,
and
man.
It's one of the most unique settings in college football. Now, not a shot at your wife, but Florida fans sometimes forget that they played football before Spurrier got there, and they weren't very good.
Yeah.
They think football started in 1990.
Right.
They envision themselves as a blue blood. They had a nice run with Spurrier. They had a nice run with Meyer.
Yeah.
Everything else has been it's been okay.
It's been mid.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they're in a position this year to surprise some people. I don't know if they're going to make the playoff because that schedule is
pretty grueling,
it's rough.
like everybody's.
But I think they're in a spot where they're going to get somebody, and you're going to go, oh.
Yeah.
We saw it a little bit last year when they got Ole Miss.
Yeah.
That team is capable of winning 9 games.
And DJ Lagway is fun to watch.
He is. It's like playing a video game, just watching him dart around. He's a whole lot of fun. You got to get some receivers. You got to shore up that defense. That defense was bad last year. Yeah. But they've got a chance, I think, to be the surprise of the league. Okay,
so who else? I mean, let's just talk about Arkansas for a second. I know that everybody, at least around here, has middling to low expectations of this team.
We talk about this a lot. Like, if you've got a lot of ifs, then you're probably, the more ifs you have, the further down the conference ladder you go. Arkansas's got a lot of ifs. And I ask this question a lot. Like, outside of Talon Green, can you point to a player or a position group where you think, all right, we're good there?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Right.
You've got questions all over the place. And that, especially against the schedule that they're going to play. Look, they're going to hammer Alabama A&M, just as they did UAPB last year, and everybody's going to get all wound up. At week 2 game, Arkansas State,
I was going to ask
in Little Rock.
So that one says, uh-oh, when I look at the schedule.
Look, Arkansas State wants you. If you're an Arkansas fan, they'd play in a parking lot.
Butch Jones wants to beat
Absolutely.
Arkansas.
They would play you in the parking lot. They've begged to play you in a parking lot. They get their chance. And Pittman went down to the SEC Media Days, took shots at Arkansas State, and you're going, why? Why would you do that? You don't have the cachet behind you to sit here and say, well, I don't want to play these people. I don't want to play them in Little Rock. Also, annoying the people in Little Rock by saying, I don't want to play down there.
Right.
Arkansas State's good enough where if Arkansas drags them along, turns the ball over, can't get things going, bad on defense, Arkansas State is good enough that they can get you.
Yeah.
Now, Arkansas is more talented at every position but like 1 or 2. I mean, Arkansas's better team.
Right, sure.
They should win this game 42-17, never have to sweat it.
But we've had those before.
We know how this goes.
We've had Toledo
Absolutely.
in Little Rock.
You know how this is going to go. Plus, you're playing a team where if in the first quarter, Green throws an interception, that place is going to go nuts. They're going to feel it, and then you're on your heels a little bit.
Yeah.
I would be very, very careful with that game. They should win the game, but the next week you get Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We talk about this on our show all the time. The first 5 games are daunting at best.
I can't even believe it.
You're going to get Ole Miss, who has had your number the last couple of years. Then you get Memphis. In Memphis, another team that wants to play
and
you.
They're up and coming also.
Ryan Silverstedt's one of the best young coaches, but maybe the guy you don't know about.
Right.
He's a fantastic football coach. And then you get Notre Dame. And that is, I mean, you come out of that group 2 and 3. You've played well. You've got a loss to Memphis or Notre Dame or Ole Miss, and you come out of there and you're competitive. All right, you're okay. That next stretch is pretty tough. You come out 3 and 2.
Yeah,
all's good.
Yeah,
you go 4 and 1. You go 5 and 0. Everything is fine. But that Arkansas State game, man, if they don't, you better go down there and take that seriously. And I'm an Arkansas alum. I'm telling you, you need to go down there because I've been to Jonesboro and I've heard them talk about playing Arkansas in the years when it wasn't supposed to happen. These folks want that game.
Yeah, they do.
And Arkansas's had trouble under Pittman meeting just the energy level.
Especially those, it feels like until we get into a groove. Now, I'm not saying we win, but it's like we look better the longer the season goes until we don't. But those first games, we always look like we are still at training camp.
They have struggled. I don't know what it is. And Sam is such a laid-back guy. He's not a real rah-rah guy.
Right.
And maybe they need some of that. But Talon Green is good enough to beat Alabama A&M by himself. He's good enough, if he's on, to beat Arkansas State. Everybody's talking about the Petrino, Talon Green, second year, it should be better. And I agree with those two, yes. Who are you throwing it to?
Who's blocking for? I can't even name right now
exactly,
a receiver.
and I think there's some assumptions just because of the name on the front of the shirt that they're just going to roll the ball out there and beat everybody on their schedule.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a lot of questions. Offensive line's got to be better. Receiving corps got to be better. Andrew Armstrong's off to the NFL. I don't know who's going to carry the football. I know Braylon Russell is kind of the guy.
Well, he's the guy that we know the name of from last year.
But the one game he played extensively got hurt, and that's been his thing through high school at Benton where, they give it to him 12 times a game. He'd run for 100 yards, but he'd get hurt.
Right.
Or he'd be banged up towards the end of the season. And a lot of questions. A lot of,
like you said, ifs. A lot of ifs.
Those ifs could turn into yeses very, very quickly. We don't know, but right now I think they've got a lot of questions, both offensively and defensively.
Who is the bottom of the barrel in the SEC? Is there?
If you ask the media, it's Kentucky and it's Mississippi State.
Why?
I will tell you now. They get Mississippi State at the end of it's the game before the second bye. Jeff Lebby is one of the best coaches tactically in the country offensively. You better take that game seriously. Mississippi State is on the come up. I'm not saying they're not going to win 7 games or 8 games. Right. They might win 5, but you could be one of them if you take them lightly.
Yeah. Okay.
Kentucky's in trouble.
What's going on there? Stoops still the coach?
He's still the coach. He took the A&M job.
Right.
And then he said, no, I'm going to stay at Kentucky.
Yeah, he walked it back.
Yeah, and now, they've pulled the NIL funding. It's going to basketball. That thing's in a lot of trouble.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I do want to just, switch gears and go into basketball for a second. So Kentucky specifically, they took a lot of their NIL money and gave it to Mark Pope and the basketball squad. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going all in. It's the Arkansas approach. And I think Arkansas's approach has been glorified a little bit more than it is. It's not just John Tyson. It's a couple of folks that have gotten together. And look, they're taking care of the basketball team. Arkansas's basketball team is going to be really, really good. Kentucky is Kentucky.
Yeah.
They will draw. Mark Pope is a very good coach. They're going to be very different than they were under John Calipari. This is going to be more, I don't want to say methodical, but it's going to be more precise than the way Cal runs his program, which is he's got the athletes, hey, man, don't get in their way.
Mm-hmm.
With Pope, it's going to be a little bit more precise. They're going to stress defense. I mean, they might score 65 points a game, but they might only give up 50.
Right.
It's going to be a different style, but they are out hunting for the best players they can find, and that Kentucky brand is good enough to pull in what they need to get it done.
Okay, so let's just take these 2 programs. We've got Arkansas, we've got Kentucky. Inevitably, we want to pit them against each other because of the circumstances, right? But both of these coaches are going to be in year 2. So how is it different in year 2 under these coaches than it was in year 1?
Well, let's take Arkansas, for example. Arkansas's got some guys returning.
Yeah.
They brought in a really good freshman class. And you've got familiarity for Cal. Remember, he came in April and had to put a roster together real quick. And he's had the opportunity to sort of put it together and build it his way. They will come out of the gates faster. Remember, they started real slow.
Yeah.
They'll come out of the gates faster. I don't have any doubt about that. You remember they got Thanksgiving Day, they got blown out by Illinois.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That won't happen this year. They'll come out flying. Now, they've got a really tough schedule. They're going to play Duke. And Duke is Duke.
Duke is Duke.
They'll be better early on. What you hope, and we saw this last year, was that they're playing their best basketball in March, which they were.
They peaked,
yeah,
right?
They
peaked at the right time.
What you're hoping is there's that slow build.
Right.
Let's not start 1-5 in the league again, but let's get that thing going early. The team to watch out for is Florida, defending national champions.
Yeah,
remember, Boogie Flan's down there.
Yeah, I know.
And Kentucky is probably in that 3-4 range right now. I don't think Pope has as good a grasp as Cal does, but
does that have to do with experience, do you think? Or
Cal was there a long time, and those roots were deep, and he could go. And Cal's got a much larger cachet when he walks in the gym. I can speak from experience.
Yeah, sure.
Isaiah Seeley, who I had at Springdale this past year, he would show up in the gym, and it was just, Cal's here, and people would just, nobody's watching the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he showed up for one of the state tournament games which we had up at Springdale, and he's just sitting in the rafters.
Yeah.
And nobody's watching the game. It's a great game going on between Springdale and Little Rock Central. They're just watching Cal.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, that's the difference between Mark Pope, who is a great coach, don't get me wrong, and Cal. Yeah. Cal walks in, you're starstruck. Pope walks in, he's basketball coach. You can have that basketball conversation. Cal's going to say, hey, I want you to come to Arkansas. You're just going to, okay. Yeah. Where do I sign?
Yes.
Pope's not like that.
Right.
And he may get to that point one day, but with regards to Kentucky, he's starting over because Cal took all of that 12 years and took it with him, and all of those roots and the connections and the people that he knew, and took it with him, and it's here now.
So that reminds me, just before we go off to a quick break here, short story. So when I was in high school, Nolan Richardson came to our gym. He was recruiting me. Just kidding. I was riding the bench like no one else could. But we did have a kid, Brandon Davis, one of my great friends. He came up here. He rode the bench at the U of A, but he was recruited by Nolan Richardson, and he came to school here. And there was just crickets. There was just this anticipation. And as a player on the floor, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody
Nolan.
He's here, and everybody is aware of the fact that Nolan is here. And I can imagine that's a little bit of the same vibes you would have. And this was coming off of. So Arkansas had just won the national championship and then gone runner-up, lost to UNLV the next year, and it was that next year, so like 96 or whatever. My senior year was 96, 97, and he was there in the gym, sitting there, just chilling up in the very top row. I can still see him in my mind.
I've got to tell you this: the first time I ever met Nolan, I've been fortunate enough through my career to be able to call Nolan a friend.
Sure.
And he is one of the best human beings you will ever meet. I was a college freshman. I was working up here in TV. Our sports director says, "Hey, Nolan's going to speak. I need you to run down there." Now, I'd never run a camera before. I'm like, yes, whatever
you need.
I got there early. I am standing me to you away from Nolan when he comes. Like, they go through practice. He comes over, and there's a media horde. It's all the stars of like the early '90s.
Sure.
Everybody was there. Mike Irwin was there.
Yeah, of course.
And everybody you would want. But I'm right there, dead center. I'm right in front of him. And I've got my question. He wanted me to ask one question.
Okay.
One question.
Your news director or whoever?
The sports director. He even wrote it down. And I'm like, the whole drive over, it's like 4 minutes. I'm practicing.
You're practicing your one question.
I'm 18 years old. I'm about to ask Nolan Richardson a question. I am standing right in front of him. Nolan comes up and he goes, "Okay." And I go to speak and I couldn't get the words out. It was just, I couldn't get the words out. He looks me dead in the eye and he goes, "Anybody else?" And it was the worst moment of my life at that point because I am now trapped. I can't get out. I'm standing there with the camera on my shoulder. I can't move because I've got this media horde around me. I can't just slink out. So the thing is over, and I am humiliated. 18-year-old college freshman, humiliated.
Yes.
I'm over putting my stuff away. Nolan, and I could feel him. He was right behind me, and he goes, "Do you want to ask me the question again?" And I just turned around and I went, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, I got a one-on-one with Nolan.
Yeah.
Just me and him. I ask him the question. Got the question out, was super professional. I got the mic in one hand, camera here. I probably set a land speed record getting back to the station. I kicked the door open. I'm like, I got a one-on-one with Nolan.
Yeah, of course. Celebrate.
I throw the tape in the machine. It was back when we were using M2s.
Sure.
I throw the tape in there. I forget to hit record.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and I sat there, and the guy who was the assistant sports director looked at me and he just went, "You're never going to make it in this." I'm like, but I did. I talked to Nolan, and I told Nolan that story, and he remembered it.
Oh my goodness!
And he just laughed, and that Nolan
because you
laugh.
had to tell him and come clean and be like, "You never saw that on TV because
I didn't hit record."
I didn't. Yeah.
But he'll remind me of that every now and then.
That's amazing.
And I can tell you, like I called him, I don't know, it was a month ago or so. I called him, and when you hear that voice, he goes, "Zachary," and I mean the hair will stand up on my arms because that's my coach.
Yeah, totally.
I love that man to death.
I went to camp with him here at Barnhill. I mean, it was actually I think it was at Bud Walton. They had just opened that. You remember for a while they had the ring on the floor where Corliss Williamson scored the first points.
Yep.
So that was still there. Anyway, great memories of that time. And you think so? I'm going back to what you said a moment ago. You said top team Florida. You think they're taking the SEC?
I think you have to take them very, very seriously.
Yeah. Where do you think Arkansas falls in the pecking order?
2-3.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to depend on how they come out of the gate. I think they're probably one of the easily top 4, but I would say probably 1, 2, or 3, just depending on how things shake out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got some closing thoughts when we come back, so stay with us. We'll be right back with more right about now. Welcome back in, everyone. A little right about now. Zach Arns joining us, ESPN Arkansas. Before we get out of here, we're going into the weekend. I wanted to talk box office. Okay, so what did we have recently? Oh, yeah, the big one, big talk of the summer sort of has been the Superman movie. Have you seen it yet?
I know this will probably taint me to some people.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm a DC guy. I think that the Marvel is the Jersey Shore of superheroes.
Okay. Hot take.
I'm a Superman, Batman guy.
Listen, you're preaching to the choir because I am too.
All right, so we're on the same page there. I love the Superman movies. My daughter and I are huge Batman fans. We've seen them all many, 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 many times. We've
Same.
recently we just found out that Avatar's coming out with a new one. We like
That's
the
right.
Avatar series.
We're the same, man. We're vibing. Yeah, totally.
I love all the Superman movies. I love the different takes, the different spins on the same story.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been selling the same story for 30, 40 years.
100%.
But everybody's got a different take on it.
It's just like Batman. I mean, we're selling the same thing, but you have a Batman movie. Buy me a bucket of popcorn and put me in the front row. I'm going to be there.
Who's your Batman? See, I identify people by who their James Bond is and who's their Batman. Christian Bale's the best Batman.
You think?
Oh, it's not even close.
Well, but those are Christopher Nolan movies. So
Right.
is it Christian Bale's Batman or is it Christopher
it's Bale
Nolan's
as Batman. He's the best Batman ever.
Well, I grew up with Michael Keaton.
Love Michael Keaton.
And
he'd be 2.
And yeah, I think he probably 2. And also, when I was really young, I mean, I watched Adam West
Sure.
on TV. Totally different feel to it, though, right? And I have to be honest, I loved the feel of the Robert Pattinson one that came out most recently.
Very surprised.
The atmosphere
Very
of that
surprised by
movie was like, that's what I want in a Batman movie.
I need to see another one.
I do too.
With him. I went in there kind of, this isn't Bale. I was kind of on the fence about it. My daughter and I sat through all 3 hours, and we walked out going, you know what? That wasn't terrible. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
But the Superman movies, I'm in on. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had a chance, but that's on the list of things to do.
Go see it. I would love to know your thoughts on it. We really enjoyed it, and like you said, it's a different take. It's just someone else's vision, So obviously, new director for this one, and just a different take. But it's fun. One of the things I appreciated about it the most, I think, is that we didn't spend a long time telling the story of Superman. Like, he's this guy from this other planet and his planet's, whatever. They tell that story throughout the movie, right?
Right.
But they don't spend like the first act showing us Krypton being
I liked
under
Henry
siege.
Cavill. I thought he was pretty good.
Hey, he was good.
I thought he was good. I thought the stories were decent.
I'm sad that I just don't feel like they had their moment ever.
Right.
Because it was like Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman and Wonder Woman, Aquaman. It's going to cohesively come together at some point. And then when that Justice League movie came out, it was like,
it was tough. It was a hard watch.
It's a hard one to go out on.
I've got to get out and see the F1 movie at some point.
Oh, the F1 movie.
And I'm a big F1 fan.
Okay.
And I'm not big when the brand F1 is pumping this movie as much as they were.
Sure, yes.
I get very nervous.
Yeah.
But I liked Ron Howard's Rush. I from what I understand, this movie is really,
yeah,
really
and
good.
an all-star cast with that one too.
Yep.
Okay, so you said, what did you say? Marvel is the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they're the Jersey Shore of superheroes. Just not a fan. And I think it's the only I've fallen asleep in 2 movies. One of them was one of the Marvel movies. I can't remember which one. It was the one where they all turned to dust at the end.
I couldn't tell you. I picked the ones I would watch from Marvel. I didn't follow the timeline. Apparently, it doesn't matter if you follow the timeline anyway.
You can't have Chris Pratt as a superhero and a tree. I'm not buying this. And there was the guy, I call him Thermos. My daughter gets very upset at me. I can't remember what his name was. Yeah, him. And he's running around collecting like rocks or jewels or something. My grandmother did that. So I can't take any of this seriously.
What about it? Okay, so this weekend, the big talk of the town is a Fantastic Four movie that's coming out with Pedro Pascal. But again, you're kind of like, I'll see it when it streams in 2 years.
Pedro needs to put the helmet on and be the Mandalorian again.
Oh, come on. Now, that movie is also supposed to be happening.
I will be one of the people camped out. Mando is my guy.
Mando is my license plate on my car. Like,
is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I love Mando. When Mando came out, I was like, Star Wars has been restored. Because they were like,
they got a professional to write it. They got Favreau involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mando was fantastic, and then they would drop Mando into other
things.
Other things.
100%. And that series, I know they've done a lot of spinoff series on Disney Plus now, but that Mando show is still my favorite.
I couldn't get through Andor.
Yeah,
and
couldn't?
No, and I'm a Star Wars guy.
So I am only 1 episode into the 2nd season of Andor.
It's a hard watch.
Totally different feel to any other show.
Really, really hard watch. We've gotten so far away from Luke and Leia and Han and the Force and all of that stuff that for me, somebody who saw the original Star Wars in
OG,
the theater,
right?
It's tough, but I loved Mando.
You know what you just said too, we all had that cultural touchstone of seeing Star Wars in the theater, but for a generation a little bit younger than us, our kids, Avatar has become that thing, right? And so you mentioned Fire and Ash. Now I heard that the trailer for that movie is going to be coming out with this Fantastic Four movie, so we're going to be seeing that on the YouTube or whatever soon.
I failed my daughter as a parent. I introduced her to Avatar about 3 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
yeah.
and she loved the first one. We watched an hour and 30 minutes of the second one, and we're gonna go see the third one around Christmas. Hopefully, it's an IMAX because I'm an IMAX. I'm a snob.
So my kids got into it. We took them to see in preparation for the second one. We took them back to the IMAX to see the first one.
That's how you do
they
it.
released the first one again
That's
in
good
IMAX.
Parenting. I mean, that's parenting the correct way.
Yeah, you got to go see
Right.
it. We got to see this James Cameron beautiful movie. You got to see it in IMAX. So we did the whole thing
with the surround sound. And all, oh my gosh, it's fantastic.
And so they're all in now.
Yeah, that's the only way to watch a movie. Like a couple of years ago, they were doing the Star Wars movies in IMAX.
Oh,
and she and I would go. We watched. I think we watched Empire.
Yes,
which is the second best. Let's be clear, the second best movie in the series. New Hope's the best.
Okay. I was wondering.
New Hope is one because that got us into it. Then it's Empire, and then I'm willing. I like the new ones with Rey. I really do. I think that would probably be like 3, 4, and 5.
So this is a Star Wars story, but I always put Rogue One up there somewhere. It's such a good movie.
Rogue One is the perfect bridge.
Yeah.
Between the prequel. I mean, when that ship is going up in there, and you know exactly what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Here comes Darth through the door,
and he mows everybody down, and then you got Leia.
Rogue
at
One
the
is
end.
underrated.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as Star Wars movies go, I think it is better than so many that you initially think of.
We can do a whole podcast on Star Wars stuff. I can talk about Star Wars all day long.
You know what? We should have you back. We'll have you back
we'll
on
do Star Wars, and we'll totally nerd out. I've got. I may have a helmet that we can bring in, and
yes,
I can do the whole.
Yes,
get up.
I might have a lightsaber that lights up.
Now we're
looks
talking.
pretty pro.
Now we're talking.
And I didn't even buy it; it was a gift because somebody knows how much of a nerd I am.
Yeah,
so
you've been home alone, there, and it's just like
yes, exactly,
absolutely.
Zach, thanks so much for joining me.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, we'll have you back, and we'll nerd out all about Star Wars.
Next time Marcy goes on vacation, kick her out. We'll do this.
You know what might be fun is because we never got to talk about the beef you have with Marcy. Maybe we bring you back on when Marcy is here.
Real quick.
Okay, tell me.
I worked with Marcy for 4 years. Marcy works out a lot. She's very healthy.
Yes.
She enjoys the clean living that I don't.
Right.
Marcy would microwave eggs and tuna and stink up the whole office.
Okay.
Stink up the whole office. And it was one of those, one of those stinks that doesn't go away.
Right.
It takes days.
Yes.
And we'd point it out, and she'd do it twice in a day or 3 times in a day.
Because you said something.
Exactly.
We've got to go warm this up again.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, yeah, Marcy and I have...
And your office isn't that big.
No. And there's very, very little ventilation in the back part of where the studio is. So it would just linger.
Yes.
And, halfway through the show, you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah, thanks, Marcy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Marcy. So,
my gosh.
Yeah, we had a name for it, and I can't remember what it was.
When you do, remember, text me.
I will.
And I'll bring it up to her. I might, next week I'll have on that chair over there, I'll present her with some tuna and eggs and just see where that goes.
Just don't have a microwave around.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, we're going to lock it up. We'll be back next week, folks. Remember, you can't be right about everything, but you can be right about now. Thanks for tuning in.